proceedings would commence in a matter of minutes. We warmly welcome Mr. Uttam Dutt, Mr. Vivek Kohli, Senior Advocate, Mr. Rajiv Avasthi, a pillar of the bar, Mr. Ram Kumar, Mr. Raj Malhotra, Mr. Dheeraj Malhotra, Mr. Pradeep Diwan, Senior Advocate, Mr. Ankit Jain, Mr. Mukul Gupta, Senior Advocate, Mr. R.K. Patil, former Secretary of the Delhi High Court Bar, Mr. Murari Tiwari, Chairman of the Bar Council of Delhi, Mr. Harish Pandey, Ms. Anamika Ghai, Shri K.K. Ghai, Mr. Sanjeev Ralli, Senior Advocate, Mr. Niazi. We are honoured to welcome Additional Solicitor General Mr. Chetan Sharma ji, Ms. Suruchi Agarwal, Senior Advocate, Mr. Abhimanyu Mahajan ji. We warmly welcome Honorable Ms. Justice Vinny Pushkarna. We warmly welcome Honorable Mr. Justice Manmohan, Honorable Ms. Justice Manmeet Pritam Singh Arora, Honorable Mr. Justice Sachin Datta, Honorable Mr. Justice Amit Mahajan, we welcome Honorable Ms. Justice Mukta Gupta ji. We warmly welcome Honorable Mr. Justice Siddharth Mridul ji, Honorable Ms. Justice Jyoti Singh, Honorable Mr. Justice C. Hari Shankar, Honorable Ms. Justice Anu Malhotra ji, Honorable Mr. Justice Dinesh Kumar Sharma ji, Honorable Mr. Justice Amit Sharma, Honorable Mr. Justice G. Vishwara, Honorable Mr. Justice Adit Dayal, Honorable Mr. Justice Vikas Mahajan, Veena Ravi ji,
system change let's have a voting by the bar.
Now request Honorable Mr. Justice Vipin Sanghi please come to the dais. Justice Siddharth Mridul ji, please request you to please come to the dais. We would like to escort.
Camera move
Come to the dais.
इनकी पिक्चर क्लिक
Mr. Justice Sanjeev, Honorable Mr. Justice Tara Gupta, Honorable Mr. Justice Saurabh Banerjee,
Yes.
Yes, we will always say. We will always say.
Honorable Mr. Justice Manmohan is requested to please come to the dais. We welcome Honorable Mr. Justice V.K. Rao, Honorable Mr. Justice Naveen Chawla, Honorable Mr. Justice Anoop Jairam Bhambani ji,
Anji, how are you?
Honorable Mr. Justice Subramanian Prasad. We welcome Honorable Mr. Justice Vibhu Bakru ji. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for turning out in such large numbers on a vacation day. It's overwhelming to see all of you here. A round of applause, please, for Honorable Mr. Justice Vipin Sanghi, Acting Chief Justice. And a standing ovation for his Lordship's appointment as the Chief Justice of the Uttarakhand High Court. We welcome Mr. Kamaljeet Arora, officiating Registrar General. We welcome Honorable Mr. Justice Amit Bansal. I now request the President of the Bar, Mr. Mohit Mathur, to please formally welcome Honorable Mr. Justice Sanghi. I request our Joint Secretary, Mr. Amit Saxena, to please welcome Honorable Mr. Justice Siddharth Nandul. I request our Treasurer, Mr. Mohit Gupta, to please welcome Honorable Mr. Justice Manmohan. I now request, and I won't use adjectives, it's been a very long time since I've been repeating myself, but okay then, Dynamic President of the Delhi High Court Bar Association, Mr. Mohit Mathur, to please address the gathering.
Abhijat keeps residing from his statements. I welcome Justice Sanghi, Acting Chief Justice of Delhi High Court for perhaps another few hours, and Chief Justice Designate Uttarakhand High Court, whom we shall miss a lot. I welcome Honorable Justice Siddharth Mridul, Justice Manmohan, and other honorable judges who could at a very short notice of our invitation for today's gathering, which we traditionally always enjoy giving to our beloved judges, as well as those with whom we have had such long associations, and we have to part company also. And I am really grateful to my friends at the bar who have not just missed out on their vacations, but have also joined hands with us in trying to have this function, which we deeply wanted to give to our beloved judge. On such a day, there is always a mixed emotion. You have the happiness and joy of seeing one with whom you had shared some time at the bar first become a judge of this court and then get elevated as Chief Justice of another High Court, and at the same time you have the feeling that for this period he will not be amongst us. With this mixed bag of emotions, we always have to somehow get this feeling that if it is for the betterment of another High Court, maybe we will reconcile ourselves to it. A mountain of a man, if I may be allowed to use a word, today leaves us for the hills and carry the flag of this High Court to Uttarakhand. I stand corrected. Uttarakhand High Court. The names keep changing so fast that by the time you realize and get used to speaking one thing, the name changes to another. Sir, the bar today salutes you for your 16 years of dedicated service to this glorious institution. And no one here needs to be told how you have acted as a sentinel, a watchful protector for this city. Last year in the month of April, May and June, you proved yourself that you could provide the oxygen to this city for the people who needed it the most at that time, and thereafter ensure that the medical facilities reach everyone with your midnight division bench. The other partner I don't see here today, Justice Rekha Palli, with whom my lords had held that DB and continued to do so day on day and probably night after night. Might I add that still we are not getting the clean air otherwise in Delhi, but you shall definitely get the clean air in the hills. I pray also, sir, that we get to see you very soon, 1.5 kilometers away from here, as soon as possible. As President of the Bar, I have troubled him a lot many times, which I cannot keep recounting, but I distinctly remember last year around May, when the second wave of the COVID virus had taken us by the storm, I made a request to the then Chief Justice to prepone the vacations as it was being done in the other high courts. Honorable the Chief Justice was in Ahmedabad at that time and I was asked to contact the senior judges here. Everybody listened to me, but only one person gave me an advice and I did not press any further, and that was Justice Sanghi, who told me, Mohit, don't look at the lawyers alone, look at Delhi. You are also a Delhi wala. If we stop functioning, hardly anything will be available to the citizens. And because of that, today we were able to, we can say with pride that we were able to save several lives with our courts functioning, and our court was the torch bearer in that. The other high courts followed it. So sir, I can keep on recounting incidents and thanking you, and the most recent being that in a short span of 3 months that you were here as acting Chief Justice with us. And Justice Jasmeet Singh I find smiling because he knows I am talking about the Building Maintenance Committee giving us permissions in very, very short span of time and in almost at the snap of a finger. I know I'm loud, but why shut it? So sir, I welcome you for this function. Tell me if I'm not loud. We are used to this, am I audible? My lords can still hear me, I just want my friends at the back to hear me. Sir, we thank you and we hope that your journey from here to Uttarakhand, I stand corrected again, is as fruitful, as meaningful and as good as it has been here. Wishing you all the very best. I welcome everyone today and I thank you all for joining us here in welcoming and felicitating my Lord Justice Vipin Sanghi. Thank you.
I request Honorable Mr. Justice Manmohan to please address the bar. Mr. Justice Manmohan, please.
Respected Justice Sanghi, Chief Justice Designate Uttarakhand, Justice Siddharth Mridul. He always brings a surprise. He just told me he has a bad throat, so I must speak. Mr. Mohit Mathur, the President, Abhijat, Secretary, Mr. Chetan Sharma, Additional Solicitor General, my brother and sisters, learned friends. Mohit has talked a lot about the legal achievements of Justice Sanghi. I'm sure my brother, Justice Mridul, would also talk about them at length. But I will speak a little personal or give a personal touch to this proceeding. In fact, my association with the Sanghi family is quite old. In fact, when I just started my legal career, I used to work in a firm by the name of HMJ Vipin Sanghi. And I used to regularly brief his father, Mr. G.L. Sanghi. And he had a unique characteristic that whenever we would get stuck on a point, he would use his wit and disarm the other side. I still remember we were doing the Nizam Jewelry Trust matter arbitration in Calcutta, and in the examination in chief we had shown photographs of the jewels whose valuation was to be done by the arbitrator. And when the argument started, the other side, Mr. Gauri Shankar, who was arguing for the Union of India, said, look, they produced these photographs have a price tag. And the price tag discloses that these jewels were purchased only for a few thousands. And now they are asking for a few crores. as compensation for the state acquiring it. So, and he pressed home that point rather hard, and we felt that the arbitrator has started swaying on that argument, swaying with that argument. So Mr. G.L. Sanghi immediately understood what the situation was, and he said, Mr. Gauri Shankar, this price tag is only the price for showing these photographs to you, not the price of the jewels. And really the arbitrator had a hearty laugh, and that was the end of that argument. Then I met Vipin at the bar, and I found that he carried that streak even further. He was actually a prankster. See, one of his dear friends told him that I had a very close friendship with a person in 11th and 12th class, but I have not met that friend for last 10 or 12 years. So what Justice Sanghi did was, he contacted a friend of his who was a printer. He inserted one page in the evening news which was published in those days, and in that paper which he had inserted, he put an advertisement saying looking for a friend. And it was addressed to Mr. Sanghi's friend. And he went and showed that paper to the friend and said, look, that person will be waiting for you at such and such place at such and such time. That friend believed it and went to that place only to find Vipin there. So his pranks were unbelievable. In fact, he is very fastidious about his meals. And he can go to any length with regard to his meals. So once he invited a few judges saying that his niece was getting married in a 5-star hotel and we should all come there for the marriage. So we all landed up there, and naturally the food was exquisite. We were all having chicken and prawns, and we all landed up at the table where Vipin was also sitting. And when we went to that table, we suddenly found that a cooker had been opened, and from there he was having his Karela and theplas. So that was Justice Sanghi for all of us. In fact, when I joined the bench, I must say it's like restarting a life. It's a new life, because the people with whom you have coffee, with whom you have lunch, with whom you spar at the bar are not there with you any further. And really, we developed a great relationship. And in these 14 years that we were together, we would try to have a cup of tea together every day if possible. We had our differences. We would disagree on various issues, legal issues, administrative issues. But we maintained civility, and we had great high personal regard for each other. And it was a pleasure traveling with Justice Sanghi. If you went out of station, you would never be short of food. Theplas and Karelas would always be available, even for breakfast. So, Justice Sanghi, I am going to miss you the most in this court, I think. And really, it was a great tenure. 16 years is a very, very long tenure in any court. And I must say, you performed well, played your innings very well. And I wish you the best. For the second innings. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Justice Manmohan. And sore throat or not, no function can be complete unless the darling of the bar, Honorable Mr. Justice Siddharth Mridul, addresses us all. Justice Mridul, please.
It's not a good day for me to be the darling of the bar. That honor has to be reserved for Justice Vipin Sanghi. and he deserves it richly. And I'm going to get personal. Since Manu started this, I'm going to get very personal. I'll go back a lot longer in terms of years when it comes to knowing Justice Vipin Sanghi, or Vinu as I know him. We were in our early teens. I must have been 12, we must have been 13, and along with our younger brothers, my late brother Pankaj and Vipin's younger brother Chotu, we used to play hockey, football, whatever it was, during the summer breaks in front of their house at Sundarnagar. And the belief then was कि पढ़ोगे लिखोगे बनोगे खराब, खेलोगे कूदोगे बनोगे नवाब. So the difference being that Vinu amongst the two of us was always the more sober, the more controlled, the more sedate. Of course, he's a prankster, and I will not refer to all the other things that he's done over the course of the last 40 odd years. Bar to say that had Sanghi uncle been alive, he would have been proud of him. Well, I never worked with Vipin at the bar, and I think very seldom did we cross swords at the bar. But Sanghi uncle was my favorite counsel at the Supreme Court. That's where I began practicing when I qualified as a lawyer. And I credit him with my growth and development as a lawyer. And I'll tell you why. Matters used to come from other high courts. They would come to me because of my personal relationships with other lawyers in other states. And I would brief him because in those days there was no concept of a young counsel. You had to be designated before you could be briefed to argue a matter. And my go-to counsel was GL Sanghi uncle. I would go and I would brief him, and he would see the passion and he would see the effort that I couldn't see. And he would tell me, Siddharth, this bench is not going to grant me any relief. Right? So what I propose we do is that you take this opportunity, you go ahead and start arguing the matter when it's called out, and I'll slip in a little later and sit next to you. For a youngster like me at that time, and in the Supreme Court of those days, it was manna from heaven. And it gave me so much confidence that I would go there and argue matters, and he would come and sit next to me, and if I'd missed out on anything, he would prompt me. That, to a large degree, has made me as confident as I am today. And I miss him. I have missed him all the time. He was a wonderful mentor. He's somebody who held my hand throughout. And God bless him. Well, coming back to Vipin. Now, Vipin, contrary to this dark, sober image that he projects, is quite the opposite. This is not an appropriate forum to get into all the peccadillos and shenanigans of my Lord Mr. Justice Vipin Sanghi, the Acting Chief Justice of the Delhi High Court. So I'll reserve that for another day. And I still have his farewell speech to deliver, which I will do with all solemnity. But I must say something that I believe most of you wouldn't know, that Vipin is a very gifted singer, has always been, and has been very fond of all genres of music, including Indian classical and old Hindi movie songs. So, in conclusion, all that I will say is that it's a sher by Allama Iqbal. I'm sure the learned SG is trying to persuade Vinu to sing a song for us today. And it would be a treat, I can promise you that. But all that I will say is that हजारों साल नरगिस अपनी बेनूरी पे रोती है, बड़ी मुश्किल से होता है चमन में दीदावर पैदा. And Vipin, in fact, is going to be like a breath of fresh air for the Uttarakhand High Court, regardless of its exalted clients. And the changes that I am sure that he's going to make are going to be remembered or are going to benefit that institution for long years to come. Thank you so much, Jay.
Thank you very much, Justice Mridul. And it gives me immense joy and with extreme pride, I have the honor of inviting Honorable Mr. Justice Vipin Sanghi to address the bar, his own family. Ladies and gentlemen, another standing ovation will be in order.
My dear Mohit, Abhijat, Siddharth, Manmohan, the learned SG, Chetan Sharma ji, my sister and brother judges, all the members of the bar, senior and junior, thank you so much for holding this function for me, to bid me farewell on a vacation day, and I am completely overwhelmed to see how many of you have turned up today despite the summer break being on. I am aware that some of you have in fact cut short your vacations to be here today to bid me farewell. And I am really touched by this gesture, and I am very grateful to you all. This bar has been my Janam Bhumi and Karam Bhumi. Janam Bhumi as an advocate, and also my Karam Bhumi as an advocate, and thereafter as a judge of this court. When I became a lawyer, I avoided coming to the court till the last day that I could. So till I got my sanad, I did not step into the court. That was because I knew that the rest of the life that I have will be spent in courts. So I decided to come here only when it became necessary. I remember those days, the bar was much smaller in terms of its population. The canteen was smaller than what we have today, and even that was sufficient and looked big enough. Even the courtrooms, this was the only building then in operation. Even the courtrooms were sufficient in number and not very crowded. And those were the times when we had stalwarts like Mr. Makhija, Mr. I'm forgetting the names now, Lekhi Sahab, Madan Bhatia ji, Roshan Sahab, and so many of them. Of course, Chandyok Sahab was very much there. He continues to be with us, going strong. And it was a very good bar, and it has only continued to improve and flourish ever since. Whenever I think and talk about this bar, I feel very happy and proud, because this is a bar which promotes merit, recognizes merit, and this is a bar which absorbs and assimilates anybody and everybody who comes to practice here. We are a truly cosmopolitan bar. There is no division in this bar, either on account of religion or caste or creed or from where you come. Everyone is most welcome to participate, to show your merit, to rise. That is the strength of this bar. This is where I learnt the ropes, and it is this bar which has given me everything, both as an advocate and thereafter as a judge. When I became a judge, I did not have a very great practice. It was not that I was having a very flourishing practice. My area of practice was mostly on the civil side, and when I assumed charge as a judge, over these years I have sat on practically all jurisdictions, and in every jurisdiction I sat, I have learned from the bar. Whatever I have learned today is what the bar has taught me. Bar has been very patient. All of you have been very patient, and very respectfully, very politely, you have actually taught me. I am very grateful to all of you for that. Both Manmohan and Siddharth have spoken about my personal life a little bit. Justice Manmohan narrated a particular incident. The persons involved are present here, but I will not name them. But they know what I'm talking about. Yes, we played a lot of pranks. He's narrated only one of them. There was another one. And I remember the time when I was working with Mr. Mukul Rodgi in his chamber, how every evening after the court, myself and my friend Mr. Gambhir, who's here, we would go to Rakesh, his stall, and we would order either cold coffee or hot chocolate, depending on the weather. So one day I told Rakesh, while we were standing there, other people were ordering cold coffee, etc. So I just jokingly told him, I said, Rakesh, ये cold coffee और hot chocolate मैंने शुरू करवाया है, which is a fact. I was the first one to tell him कि भी ऐसे बना लो. He used to not, बनाता नहीं था. So I said, ये मेरे कारण तुम्हारी इतनी सेल होती है, तुम्हें मुझे कोई रॉयल्टी देनी चाहिए. And you know what his retort was? He said, sir, आपको पता नहीं है, मैं आपसे 2 रुपए कम लेता हूँ. Even without my asking for royalty, that man was very honestly passing it on without my knowing. I remember Santram's shop was next to his, and we used to enjoy the samosas and pakoras from there. And I remember Rajiv Nanda, he's a very funny person, he's a very nice sense of humor. So he would go to Santram's stall and tell Santram, who's unfortunately no more, he used to tell him, एक कॉलरा दे दो, एक टाइफॉइड दे दो, एक जॉन्डिस दे दो. And the look on Santram's face was something to be seen. Similarly, we used to enjoy the pan and the pan shop. Mr. Rodgi's chamber and Mr. Arun Jaitley's chamber were side by side, and those were the times when we used to have lunch together. Mr. Rodgi, Mr. Jaitley, Mr. Nair, myself, Amrit, Maninder Acharya, and we would have some special appearances, sometimes Anand Sachte, sometimes so many others would drop in. We had a wonderful time, and after 36 years at the bar and thereafter on the bench, I'll be leaving you. I don't know how I'm going to cope up. I've got so used to this place, to this court, to all of you, that it's not going to be easy for me when I leave. I'm going to Nainital, very nice state, touristy place, and my doors are open to all of you. So please do visit the state, and whenever you are in Nainital, please call upon me. And time permitting, I would love to meet you. So, thanks a lot once again. Jai Hind. There is a request that I should sing something. I'm jet lagged. I've landed from Canada just last night, so I don't know what's going to. चलते चलते मेरे ये गीत याद रखना, कभी अलविदा ना कहना, कभी अलविदा ना कहना.
Don't have words to express the gratitude of the bar to Honorable Mr. Justice Sanghi for all that he has done for each one of us. Our Vice President, Mr. Jatan Singh, who would have ordinarily proposed a vote of thanks, is late in coming back from Singapore. His flight got delayed. I call upon my Joint Secretary, Mr. Amit Saxena, to please propose the vote of thanks. I'll let that be, sir.
Honorable Mr. Justice Vipin Sanghi ji, Acting Chief Justice. Honorable Mr. Justice Sardar sir. Honorable Mr. Justice Manmohan sir. All the honorable judges. Today it's a mixed feelings, mixed emotions, having seen you for the past 23 years as far as I am concerned. Sir used to be standing here in this lobby with the cause list in your hand. A big thank you all for coming in such large numbers on a vacation day, to all the judges who have taken that, maybe cut short their vacations, to all the members. I'm sure most of them have specially come to bid farewell. In such large numbers, while we were planning to have this on such a short notice, we were all apprehensive whether we will have the numbers. But today, seeing everyone in such large numbers shows the love and affection we all have for Honorable Mr. Justice Vipin Sanghi. Thank you all. Thank you all. Requesting all to join us for high tea and snacks in the cafeteria today. Due to the weather outside, we chose to have it in the canteen. Thank you all once again. Thank you all for being here. Thank you.
Members of the committee will please come on the dais to have a photograph with the Honorable Mr. Justice Sanghi.
मैं कह रहा हूँ लाए के बाद रखते हैं